Welcome back, episode 61. Stay tuned for a whole lot of Marvel, DC, and everything in between.
The Geek Week in Review.
Hello, and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review with me, Jacob's Toys. Of course, wonderful one and only SuperSorrell, and our good friend Ryan Speaks Geek. Is that a Lego set, or was that actual...
No, it's vintage collection.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And then I filled it with Rebels, Stormtroopers and things. So I kind of count Rebels figures pretty much as like Star Wars vintage. But I'm going to paint this up to be more like vintage.
Nice. Check out the website, geekweekinreview.co.uk for all of the socials, and give us a follow, like, share, subscribe, all of those things across all the different socials. If you listen on podcast, we love you. Keep on downloading, sharing, and all those things. Episode 61, week 61. There's quite a bit to talk about this week. We've got a load of Marvel stuff, we've got a load of DC stuff, and we've got a few other bits in between. I think we need to kick it off with the kind of big reveals that's happened in the week, and that was, of course, the Marvel Legends fan live stream. It took place on August 10th.
Big reveals? Is that a bit of an exaggeration? Big reveals?
Well, anyone that kind of follows my channels, you'll know that I did a kind of a video on it and kind of splurted my thoughts out. So it'll be interesting to talk to you, gents, and see what you guys thought. But yeah, we had...
Before you even start that, though, did I win? Last week, we had the competition.
Yes.
Who won? This guy. The guy who did the whole thing of, I don't even follow Marvel, and guessed it right.
You know what? It was, yeah. So for anyone that didn't watch last week's show, we all put in our predictions of what the Marvel Live fan stream, or whatever it's called, Marvel fan live stream was going to be. Ryan doesn't do Marvel in that respect, and he was just like, Spider-Man or Iron Man or Wolverine, and it was freaking Spider-Man.
And there was an Iron Man there as well, so I got 2 out of 3. Zombie Iron Man.
Zombie Iron Man.
What? So you got 2 out of 3. Jeez, I didn't even count now. I just counted the 1. Oh man.
That only counts as 1.
It was, I mean, like I said in my video, it was for me as a Legends collector, like as a sole Legends collector, it was really disappointing. I don't know, I just kind of just felt a little bit disappointed. I really liked the Disney Plus Wave 3, was it? That was the highlight for me, but then even that had its issues.
We knew half of it already. There was nothing new, really. Although there are a couple of figures that were new. Most of it we already knew was coming.
I think that's the problem. I think
my favourite bit, though, out of it was...
Go on.
Yeah, like, my favourite bit was, and Jake pointed out in his video, was the Jimmy Woo figure, because it's the most blatant, I'll tell you what's coming up in, like, you know, in like 3 reveals time, it's going to be that Jimmy Woo with the armor and stuff like that from the animated wave. It's just going to be reused to death now. And it was blatantly just put in there to go, just to get the figure out. The mold's now made, and now we can reuse it.
Yeah.
Well, they showed us the Jimmy Woo card a while back, so we kind of knew that was coming. Then we already knew about the man that was beyond, or whatever the frick he's called, man from Left Behind or whatever. We knew about him. We knew about Howard the Duck. We knew about Loki.
Yeah. Yeah,
and the rest were, and then you had that Red Skull, which was just a giant disappointment. The only good ones were the zombies, in my opinion.
Yeah, but even then, like they were, like the zombie Iron Man. I would have preferred a zombie Hawkeye. I'm not going to lie, that I would have much preferred a zombie Hawkeye. But yeah, I don't know. It was just really disappointing. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Disney Plus Wave 3, I will get that, because all of the figures in it are figures that I'd quite happily have, and they're doing enough kind of what-if figures that I can have kind of a what-if shelf. So even the thing that I said in my video about Red Skull and the whole exclusive, San Diego Comic-Con exclusive and stuff, like I can display them differently. I can kind of justify having them. But I don't know. The Spider-Man 5-pack was very reminiscent of the Wolverine 5-pack, I thought. It's like, I know that you revealed one of those figures, and there was a lot of buzz about that 5-pack, but I think without...
Even then, there were gripe about it. There were still people moaning about that 5-pack just because I revealed one. Everyone was still moaning about the 5-pack at the time. Nobody liked a 5-pack.
No, but I think that what they did with the Wolverine
Nobody likes a 5-pack.
they gave each figure to a different creator, and each
Yeah.
of those created a buzz around that particular figure.
Yeah.
And so by the time it was revealed as a 5-pack, everyone kind of went, "Oh man, that's really disappointing." But I'm really hyped because everyone's really hyped up these figures. Whereas this, it was just kind of like, "Oh, right, okay,
Yeah.
yeah." It was like one person at the back with a party popper. Like it was kind of that kind of feeling. So I'll pick it up, but I will pick it up when Amazon discount it down to sort of like 60 quid or whatever. Like, you know, they
Why?
do.
Are you wanting that pack out of the FOMO effect or what? Because there's nothing in it that's like that I'd be worried about missing out on. They're all characters that are just B-list random horribleness. Why do you want it?
For me,
Because
there's
it's already been said. It's the I can justify it. I mean, you shouldn't have to justify being able to get something. If you actually want it, you've got it. You shouldn't have to be justify to yourself why you're going to buy. You should just.
oh no, okay. No, that's the wrong use of words. But what I mean is that I want them all. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I would like if I could physically house them all, I would have them all. But at one point, my collection was complete. I had everything between 2014 and 2021, minus like 2 figures. Because I was kind of completionist, and I was like, you know what, I want to have this. But then I found that I had so many different versions of like Captain America and so many different, and I was like, I'm not enjoying these, so I stripped it back. And now, for me to justify having something in my display, it needs to have a place. Like I can't just have something random. So I can justify the what if figures as their own display now because there's enough of them. But the thing with that Spider-Man 5-pack is that I have shelves of Spider-Man villains. So all of the characters in that box set would have a place in my collection, but I wouldn't pay top retail price for that box set because they are crap. They're not, you know, apart from maybe Molten Man, you could argue that I'm completely forgetting names now.
Molten Man, Razorback,
Silvermane.
Fly.
Silvermane and Molten Man are kind of higher end. They're kind of like C to B list Spider-Man villains, you know. So to have them in a display would be cool. But I do already have a Silvermane because I made a custom. But the others I would quite happily pass over. But yeah, I wouldn't pay as a collector and as a big Spider-Man fan. I wouldn't pay. When it comes out on Amazon, I'm not going to jump in and buy it straight away. The same with the Wolverine pack. I was like, you know what, I want this pack, but I'm going to wait till it's in the sale. And it did. It dropped down to about 60 quid for a period, and I was like, you know what, I can justify paying that for 5 figures because it's, you know, less than a tenner each sort of thing. It's what you'd pay pre-owned, you know, on a Facebook groups and that. But yeah, I just think it was a big disappointment. But I suppose my theory with it is that this is them getting out the low level stuff before PulseCon. You know, this is we've got all these things in production. We need to get them out. There needs to be a bit of hype around them. People need to kind of semi want to buy them, sort of thing. This is like your, what is it, a fight when you've got the title fight and then you've got like the other cards,
the undercard.
The undercards. Yeah, this is like the first fight of the night. You know, where people are still getting their drinks, they're still making their way in, but these guys are going to go out. They're going to give it their all. This is the undercard of the main event, in my opinion. I think come Hasbro PulseCon, these guys are going to be forgotten about, massively forgotten about. But yeah, it was just a bit weak. It really was. The little head at the end, that was a cool reveal. What's his name?
Retro.
It's what?
No retro.
No, there was no retro. But Steve did say that it was slowing down, didn't he? Because they hadn't put stuff into.
Yeah, I just sort of want something by the end of the year, like, because the Sentinel's anything that's not been released yet. Like, it's been, obviously, it's pre-order everywhere. It says pre-order February, but as we know, I mean, absolutely dick all with Hasbro, so it'll probably come out like tomorrow. But I just think to then not have anything now for the new year, I would still want like another wave, maybe even if it's just 2 figures or another large figure, maybe in like October, November, or just something revealed in the next few months.
There will be something at PulseCon, without a doubt. There will be something at PulseCon. But speaking of those figures, like I was out in like town the other day. I think I messaged you guys, and HMV were the only place that I could find them in a brick and mortar kind of shop, but they were like $13.99 each. I was like, this is ridiculous for
That's their new price point.
That's ridiculous. Like when they were a tenner, I was kind of like, you know, but then I don't see that because when you order from the retailers or the e-tailers, however you want to list them, you know, you get a whole wave for like 40 quid or 45 quid or whatever. So you just sort of think, oh, postage, packaging, all that kind of stuff. You know, that's okay. But yeah,
that's the new price point for that, and the retro Star Wars are all that price as well now. Problem is that it's everything has gone up in price. It's not, you know, it's in line with the Black Series stupid increase. It's in line with the Vintage Collection stupid increase. I'm adding stupid increase to everything because it's really stupid. Yeah, it's all these really bad increases, which I'm really not convinced so much that it's. I think when they go like, oh, you know, war in Ukraine, I'll be like, is it though, or is it just you want to make a bit more profit? It's just a good way to make a bit more profit. If it was a quid more, then I'd go, maybe you're offsetting your kind of production costs. But I don't know. And then just the amount of repaints, I'm not convinced by it all. And I'm a bit sort of fatigued with Hasbro's sort of controversies now. It's almost as predictable as a new Disney Plus show coming out. Like, you know, something new is going to be coming out from Hasbro where everyone's going to go, Hasbro. It's become like a catchphrase of a sitcom. Hasbro. What you talking about, Hasbro? You know, that's going to be the new thing.
Hasbro.
Hooray!
But shall I tell you what? What I have noticed on the groups as well, and I don't know if because sorry, like we've been around on some of the groups for quite some time now, and I know Ryan, you're on the groups now as well. But what I've noticed is there's almost like a wave, and it's kind of like prices go up. Prices always go up. There's always a price increase. There's always, you know, and there's always that period of time where everyone in the groups seem to be complaining about the price, and then it kind of dies off a little bit, and then a price increase goes up, and then this whole wave of newer members and new people to the group and stuff are all like, oh, the prices have gone up, and it's almost like certain people coming into the hobby at a certain time then notice a price increase and think that that's the first time the prices have increased. Like I think it's more noticeable now because everything around us is also going up, like all at the same time. Like inflation is crazy, but like I remember being able to pre-order a wave for like less than 100 quid.
98 something, like 97 something, wasn't it? Or something like that. It was like it was just a few quid off, and it was. I remember it. Yeah, you used to get a full wave sent to you from like In Demand Toys or wherever, and it'd turn up. You'd have the entire wave on the bath, and it was great. But nowadays,
you're
talking
put
what,
like a sepia filter on this part so we can look like we're talking about olden days. I remember when I used to go down with just my pocket money. Oh, they were great times. They were down by the stream. I had to walk back then, of course. There was no vehicles.
But we'd get a whole wave of figures for less than 100 English pounds.
I traded for a can of beans.
But it's true though. But you would get like a full wave of figures for like less than 100 quid, and that's like I don't know. I think for a lot of people that was a lot more justifiable to kind of go, you know what, I'll have a whole wave at 100 quid because it doesn't make sense to buy them individually.
For me, it feels like I'm not sure if it's just because we've been around a while. Maybe that other people might not feel this way, but because we've been around so long, I'm starting to get this fatigue feel now of kind of like the heyday's gone now. I remember when the group, the Marvel Legends community was like pumping, and they had so many people, and like I think it was when like the Sauron Bath wave dropped alongside was it Spider-Man Daredevil wave at the same time? Both kind of dropped within like weeks of each other, and everybody was trying to get the Bath pieces, and the groups were just like pumping and people posting reviews up. And like back then there was only like you on Instagram, and then there'd be like me and Dan Who posting the videos in the groups, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just that feels like the golden era of the groups for me now.
Well, what are we in now then? The Iron Age.
I don't know. I feel like I'm the old guy. I'm about to say, I think I'm the old. I feel like I'm the old guy in the corner going, "The prices are too high, man."
My justification is that, you know what, at the end of the day, it's a hobby. No one is gonna live or die if they do or don't get figures. And for me as a collector, I've always kind of lived by if I can't afford to do it, I wouldn't. And if I don't enjoy what I'm doing, then I'm not going to do it. And I think as long as you can keep those kind of things in mind, it's okay, you know?
Yeah, I was watching a video by Toy Galaxy the other day, and I'm going through the same thing they went through, which was he had his first collection when he first started, and he basically collected everything and tried to keep up with every line and was spending so much money. And then eventually he had a moment of clarity and just went, why am I collecting all this stuff? And trimmed it right down. Then he decided to go all in on like one or two brands. But obviously then he same as I did, you work yourself in this little corner and go, actually, I've run out of things to collect and I'm bored now. So then I'm doing the same thing he's done, which is now where you only collect characters you actually have an interest in. Why am I like, I don't think you've reached that point yet, Jacob. I think you're still in the 2.0 section. You're still in that middle stage of like wanting to complete it and wanting to get everything. I've gone past that now, and I'm just like, why do I don't know who Razorback is. Why do I need the goddamn figure? Like, I have no idea who this person is. So
see, but for me, it's the comic books though, and I think that does make a big difference to, like, especially with Marvel. It's a little bit more difficult with things like Star Wars, I suppose. But for Marvel, like, I grew up reading the comic books, so like literally every single figure behind me, I've read a comic book that has them in it, or there's some kind of link to it, and that's where I'll happily pass over things like this Spider-Man 5-pack because they are such D-list, Z-list kind of characters that I don't remember reading about Razor Black Fly, and it's kind of like, you know what, I don't remember reading about them, so I'm not going to go out of my way to get it. But Molten Man and flipping out, why do I keep forgetting his name?
Silvermane.
Why do I keep forgetting? But Silvermane and Molten Man, like, I remember reading about those. So it's kind of like, you know what, I do, even though I've got a custom of Silvermane, I kind of want the official one, even though it's crap. But it's kind of like, I want the official one because I remember reading the comic books. And so therefore it's collecting for me was always about a physical representation of the character that I read about or in more recent years saw on the screen. And that's what it was. So if I can't play
I agree with that. That's what I'm like with Star Wars and Transformers. It's like, it's what I want a physical representation of that thing I love. Like that character I read about, I want to make my own adventure based on what I saw and stuff like that. I'm doing like claw hands here. But.
Yeah.
So
So I do agree and disagree with what you're saying there, Sorrel, because I did go through that phase, because at one point back in the day when it was cheaper, I had so I had Marvel, I had Star Wars, I had Power Rangers, I had Turtles, I had Lego,
Your He-Man.
Lego Brickheads, I had He-Man, like I had it all. But that was kind of pre-social media. That was kind of before I kind of came out a little bit. And then as I started kind of coming out as Jacob's Toys, I didn't have a party or anything, but as I started doing stuff with Jacob's Toys, that's when I kind of was just Star Wars, Power Rangers, and Marvel. And if you look back like at some of our earlier Instagram posts, they were things like Star Wars and Power Rangers as much as they were Marvel. And then I kind of stripped back. I was like, you know what? I love Star Wars, but I don't need to have certain characters. I don't need to. And, you know, Lego was one thing. I just kind of was like, you know, if I'm doing Marvel, I need to do action figures or Lego. I can't do both. And Power Rangers, it was kind of a blip, a flash in the pan. I was like, I love Power Rangers as a kid, but do I love them enough to continue collecting this line when they're giving me the Green Ranger, but it's not the correct Green Ranger, and I don't know when I'm going to get the correct Green Ranger. Like, so yeah, so I do agree there is that sort of moment of clarity of a lot of collectors, and you do see it in the groups where people kind of like they'll be jumping on every sales post and buying up all the hard to get ones or all the rare ones, and then all of a sudden a few months later they'll be doing a sales post like clearing out, giving up, walking away, like all that kind of stuff. But
the main one I've seen, actually, to be fair, like obviously Marvel Legends always has a quite consistent roller coaster of people going in and out and out. The one that I've seen the most of exodus of recently has actually been Star Wars Black Series. Yeah. That's the one I've seen so many people just, but that's the thing, not just selling their stuff individually, just selling their entire collections in one big bulk. You know, going like 600 quid for all in, 500 quid all in, and and I found that you don't normally, you see one or two people like thinning out or whatever, going, I'm focusing on Mandalorian, I'm focusing on original trilogy characters or whatever. But this is like people selling their entire collections, and that's a real big statement because Black Series has always been quite an aggressively like, we're the superior, we're Black Series, but, vintage collections in the past, and now it's kind of like, it's selling all Black Series.
Yeah.
Bye.
At the moment, it really does feel like Star Wars needs a complete fresh team looking at it at Hasbro, because the collectors are literally like I say, they're selling up and they're getting rid. And it's not a good time to be a Star Wars collector right now, because it's a lot of people are going back to collecting retro, to collecting the old stuff, because it's still readily available. Like Power of the Force has become very popular over recent months in the groups. A lot of people have got Power of the Force sales up, and people are buying it up left, right, and center. I've been doing it. So I had to build
great
cantina
figures.
scenes and stuff. Yeah, they're good little figures. And they're still
You've not had a good
relatively
issue tip since then.
they're still really good, like fairly easy to get hold of, not overly expensive. You can get a fair few figures for 20 quid where you can't with Blackskin.
You know what? I'm really gutted that we weren't doing this podcast when I moved. So to put it into context, I think we started this podcast shortly after I moved. But to give you the idea of why I'm bringing that up is that when we did move, I had a load of things that I was selling up, and one of them was like vinyl records and stuff like that. So I had like a collection of vinyl records. I did speak to John before I sold him mine, before you asked me. And this guy came round and just bulk buyed the lot. And there was some really good records in there, but they were the kind of ones that if there was one number different in the barcode, it would have been worth like 20 grand and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, it was a fair priced bunch of records.
First press versus second pressing, yeah.
Yeah, but it was still a tidy amount, don't get me wrong. But anyway, he turned up and he was just like, because I was coming to your house, I did a little bit of research, but you're Jacob's Toys, right? And I was like, yeah. So he'd obviously looked at my email, my PayPal and that kind of stuff and found out who I was that way. And he literally came with like a pile of paper like this big of all these Star Wars figures that he was selling. And it was all Power of the Force and Episode 1 stuff, and like literally all boxed and like the prices that he was like, I'm looking, if like anyone that would buy it, like, or if you're interested, let me know. And I was like, you know what? If I wasn't moving house right now and you gave this to me, I would take it all, just because it's all boxed. It's all like mint fresh and I was like, but I'm moving house and I can't turn up at my new house
with more boxes than what you.
More boxes of figures. My wife would be like, "Where have you brought your toys over the other day?" No, not these ones.
These are the ones under the tarp in the garden.
Yeah, these are the ones that I've had buried.
Fun fact: TC14 from the Episode 1 wave is now worth quite a bit of money. I found out, which I didn't know.
Oh, really?
That's been sitting in one of my boxes gathering dust for ages. And so some of the actual Episode 1 figures, which everyone laughed at and said would never be worth anything, some of them are actually starting to go for a bit of money. The TC14 figures have been selling for about 60 quid.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Nice. The funny thing as well about collecting is that a lot of people come into it and they realise that there's a bit of value behind some of it, and then they collect for the value element of it. And like I always call it like the Rogue scenario, is that the Rogue figure was worth stupid money, and then there was they did the retro card one, and that was announced, and then the price of Rogue dropped down, and no one wanted that Juggernaut Wave Rogue, and the price dropped right down. But then everyone bought the card, the retro one, in abundance, so then that was like unavailable from the minute it was out, and that price skyrocketed up. So then the other one, the price got pulled back up. And then all of a sudden, people were like, well, I don't want to pay that money for the old Rogue, but I'll pay that money for the new Rogue. And but then they announced that, that no doubt there'll be another one announced with the VHS figures at some point. Yeah. And then it will play that thing again. So if you're in collecting for the money, like if that's what your sole reason for collecting is, it's like keeping an eye on the stock market. Like you can't just pick up a figure and go, well, this one's worth, oh, I've got this figure here. This is worth £200. Like, £200 in the bank. Like that's not how it works. And that's why collecting, especially things like action figures, you've got to do it for the passion of the figure, not for the paycheck. It's they will always be worth money. There will always be a monetary value added to it, but that will fluctuate.
It'll always be worth something to someone.
Yeah, and now the thing is, it's not a good time to be in it for the money right now, because with all the re-releases are constant. And those Bat figures that were worth 50, 60, 70 quid a pop are now worth 20, 30 quid because the new ones are coming out left, right, and center.
Yeah. If you're a new collector, it's a great time. And you're almost in like a recession, like figure wise. Like it's kind of like you're coming in and you're like, oh man, this is great. Like I'm gonna have that bath, that bath, that bath. Yeah, I'm gonna buy this one. That one's brand new for 70 quid. No, I'm not having that. Like, do you know what I mean? But it will come out again, and there'll be a time when people have that the value of those figures will go up again, and people will be kicking themselves for selling them. But I always say to everyone when people talk to me about like why you collected, like do you get a lot of money from figures? Do you sell them? And I'm like, no, I don't. I do sell on the groups, but it's one of them things that I'll put stuff out on the groups at the price that I want to sell it for. If no one buys it, no one buys it, and I'll take it off. It's not like, I might drop it down a couple of times or do like a bump or something like that, just to kind of, I'll have a bracket in mind of what I want to sell it for. But yeah, it's like the stock markets. You need to really kind of stay on top of it if that's what you're in it for. But there's such a community feel to all of the action figure group. If you come into it as a salesperson, you're not going to last very long in the communities because that's not the feel, is it? It's not the attitude in the community.
It's what seemed to happen to Nerdzoic's channel, to be fair.
Oh, really?
He don't really make many videos anymore. He's more interested in his toy business, and he just stopped posting. Yeah,
it's because he's very much a toy shop now, isn't he? Like he does and that that's slightly different, I suppose, that if you're running an actual store. But I looked into it like way back when, and I was kind of like, should I actually try to import these things? And I was like, nah, I'm not touching that with a barge pole like that. I go to the company to do it.
I do secondhand toy sales, and I do it at conventions and collector fairs because that's fun. I like that, and I like the fact that I've got to know most of the other dealers, and they're all secondhand dealers themselves, and they're all collectors themselves. All of them don't have a shop, none of us have brick and mortar stores because they're too expensive. So everyone just does conventions now, and you'll meet so many cool people. Like there's a guy called Dario, and he's from DNA Toys, and he'll come up to my stall every time and be like, well, I really want that. And he's like, come to my stall and see what you want. And we basically trade, no money exchange, and you just trade product for product. And it's so much fun doing that. I've got so much stuff from other collectors that I didn't even know existed doing that. It's like, but I looked into should I start speaking with companies? Should I try and get some pre-orders in? And it's a whole lot of mess. Is that no? Sorry, I refuse to get into it.
Yeah, I was the same. I was kind of like, nah, that's not something that I'm gonna touch.
I've got a couple of wholesalers that I can go to and buy boxed bunches of figures, and that's quite cool because you do get a few quid off each one. But that's as far as I'll ever go. I'll never take pre-orders, money up front, stuff like that, because No.
Well, we all remember the 2018 gate. Let's just there was a couple of companies that were out there that were taking lots of money off of lots of people for pre-orders, and stuff didn't show up, and
disappeared.
Money cases. Yeah, it was. And the funny thing was, it was at that time when I was thinking, I'd like to set up a store. I'm gonna leave my job. I'm gonna set up a toy shop. That's I always wanted to have a toy shop as a kid. I was like, that is what I'm gonna do. And then that kicked off, and I was kind of like, no. I was like Homer Simpson in the bushes. I was like, whoa. It was, I could literally see myself. But no, my hat does go off to the people that do this stuff. While we're on that subject, I suppose we've got to talk about my little my wings that came with Venom. You saw the video that I put out. Now, just as a disclaimer,
I'm sure that's been resolved in a very timely manner.
Well, as a disclaimer, I didn't throw any shade at anyone in that video. That was not a video to throw shade. It was just a case of, I thought it was funny. It was kind of like, this is really funny. The whole "oh no" sound clip works perfectly. I'm just going to throw it out there just for a bit of fun. And on Instagram, it's had like 250,000 views now. And like the comment sections, like for anyone that hasn't seen it, basically I've got my Venom with wings, and he's got two right wings instead of a right and a left wing. But I know I'll get the wings somehow, whether it's I mean, I've had half a dozen people kind of contact me and sort of said, "Oh, I'll send you my wings. I'm not going to use them and stuff like that." But I don't want to be in that position where they then contact me and go, "Can I have my wings back, please?" Because Venom's now got wings in the movie, and I want the wings back. So, but anyway, yeah. So I didn't throw any shade at anyone, and Hasbro reached out to me directly on my post and sort of said, "I'll drop us a message and we'll sort this out." But then people went at Hasbro for that. They were like, "Oh, would you do this to somebody that hasn't got 25,000 followers and you don't send free stuff to?" And I just stayed out of the comment section because I was like, I buy my stuff. Like, they didn't send me these. Like, these were ordered and paid for. Like, and of course they're going to reach out to someone with a larger following because more people are interacting with that post. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't happen to somebody of a smaller following, but you can't blame essentially somebody that's paid to be their social media person. You can't blame them for not seeing every single comment and criticism that's been put out over social media. But of course, they're going to see the ones that are kind of on the higher peaks, should we say? Like, they're not going to see everything. So I just thought, why are people not commending Hasbro for actually jumping on it and publicly going, "Oh, this, hang on a sec, we'll sort this out." But yeah, going at them. So it's not been resolved. I'm not going to lie, we haven't resolved anything yet. They contacted me. We chatted in DMs for a bit. It was a very kind of, "This is a case number. Somebody's going to email you. We'll be in touch," sort of thing. So
the problem
that was a week ago.
The problem is when they'll send you a box with a prepaid thing on the front, so you can send it off, and then you'll send your product back, all boxed up and nice, and then you'll get a message back saying, "We have none in stock to send you. We'll send you you can either choose one of these items of same value, or we'll send you a refund."
Yeah,
that is what's going to happen, dude.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I did not buy that set from Hasbro Direct. This is where there's a bit of a twist in the story, because I told them, I was like, I bought this from a retailer, like, but you guys have approached me. I've not approached you. I've not kind of contacted customer services. Like, you've reached out to me on social media. So I'm curious as to where it's going to go in that respect. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. But the funny thing is, and I'm not going to name names, but the retailer that I got it from reached out to me as well and were like, "Let's have a look. If I've got another one, I'll just swap it over." It was like, I was like, good on you. Like, that's cool. But I kind of don't want to put it on them, because then they've got a product to deal with, if that makes sense. So the fact that Hasbro are contacting me trying to deal with it, I'll happily deal with them.
Was it?
Yeah, you
was it
sort
from
out as
CNC?
a source.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what CNC will do is, because they used to send stuff back, I believe, but they stopped doing that because I think they had issues. So I believe they will then take your product back, and then they've got a section on their website, haven't they, for products that have arrived damaged and been sent back. And some people buy them for parts, things like that. Because to be fair, it's only the wings. I mean, if they put a good little discount on it, someone will have it for the Knoll. It's called Knoll, the figure. Someone will want him.
Yeah. But that's kind of my mentality, and I've said to him, I was like, "Listen, if it's going to cause you issues, I'll deal with it myself. Like, it's fine."
Yeah, because to be fair, I've seen that pack and gone, "Man, I'd like the Knoll figure, and the Venom's pretty cool in it, but I'm not too bothered for the wing." So someone like me would pick it up just for the one Knoll figure. You
do realize that symbiotes can grow wings, though. That this is like a thing.
I know it's a legit thing, but I wouldn't ever display him with wings. I don't remember Venom with wings in a comic, so I would never use them.
No, it was a Donny Cates run, so it's like a very niche run of stories. But yeah, I'd like to have it with the wings, just because it's a Venom. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But I was just really surprised how much coverage that single video got. Like, but between kind of different platforms, like, it's hundreds of thousands of views and lots of comments. But it seems like people wanted to complain, like they wanted to have a pop and try to use that as their opportunity to throw.
Like I said, people are pretty anti-Hasbro at the moment. That's the thing. I'm not anti-Hasbro in any way. I like a lot of the stuff as well. I really just don't. I don't think they've done themselves a lot of faith, and I think like Dash, Star Wars needs a complete overhaul. They need to just stop stuff for a few months and go, "We need to really get back on track." But again, I like a lot of stuff they put out. I love the retro collection. I really like Derby Wave out. I really like the Marvel retro stuff. I think that's really cool. I think that they do listen to them, and they do some great stuff. I just think that the problem is they've done too many missteps in a short space of time. People are looking for something to be able to jump. Your video, yours comes up, and it's like Hasbro, made this thing, and it's got packed into two of the same wings. That's the time, and then when they respond to you, and probably not, and if they're really busy and not responded to the customer in time, because like you said, yours is more out there. It's a more public forum, so naturally, the public team is going to see that and go, right, okay, jump on that to try exactly what has happened, which is hundreds of people then messaging underneath it, talking and stuff like that.
Yeah. You were very jittery throughout that, right?
I'll say you're frozen as well now, mate.
Hey, just frozen.
Yeah.
Your picture looks like we're
you
talking.
guys are frozen for me as well. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
We're like Ryan. Ryan is currently in the Alps. There's like a picture of Ryan, like an action shot of Ryan. Right, Ryan, can you hear us? No,
Yeah,
we've got.
he's
We'll
gone, he's
cut
gone.
to that. We'll cut to that segment later in the show, hopefully. But no, I do. I'm not anti Hasbro at all. Like at the end of the day, I can't justify being a collector. There you are. Hello, Ryan. I can't justify being a collector of Marvel Legends, but then say I hate Hasbro, because that's just contradictory. Like hypocritical. But I'm not going to shy away from pointing out a fault. You know what I mean? Like, this is what happened. Like, so here we go.
I've always been like that since day one with it. It's like a case of, I will point out when I don't like something, but I do like Hasbro as a company. I like every line they do. I mean, I've even got into the G.I. Joe stuff. I've even got into Fortnite, Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Most lines Hasbro pick up, I will try, because I like what they do, and I like the fact that all the figures scale together, all the accessories are cross-compatible across lines.
Ryan, are you okay?
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm adjusting my Transformers. I'm adjusting my Transformers.
It looked like you found a secret camera in your house. Is this filming me?
I just don't understand. Like, at the minute, you've got like, because all the teams are run so differently. We're so used to the Marvel team now, and then like the Fortnite team never speak, never put anything out. Like, I just went to game this morning, and there's like a motorboat you can now get. And then like Mancake has been released. The Pancake Cowboy. He's called he's got a big artillery cannon, and they've released like raptors, dinosaurs, and shit.
That's mad.
And I'm like, why was this not announced? These are amazing. The dinosaurs, by the way, if anyone's building a Savage Lands display, they'd go perfectly in it, because they're all mental colours. They're all like mentally looking colours. They're very cartoony.
There's different colours.
Yes, you can get like, there's like an orange one, a blue one, a green one. They're all different colours. They all come with different accessories.
How much are they?
Oh, that reminds me of like 90s Jurassic Park toys.
Yeah, they were like $24.99, I think, the dinosaurs.
Oh man, I might have to pick a couple up.
That's what I was like. I was like, I'm having a raptor. Nice coming home.
I'm gonna have to pick a couple up. Yeah, I do like, and there is something that, being a collector, like I don't care what people that hate, let them hate. For me, it's very much a physical representation of the storybooks I read as a kid, but also the kind of the inner child of me that when I was growing up, I didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't have, I had toys. I can't discredit my parents that much. I did have toys, but I did have a lot of knockoff toys as well, and I did have a lot of third-party toys and stuff. Like, there was always something to play with. But I remember there were certain friends that had all the official stuff and all the, and even to the extent of like the old like what were they, the Secret Wars or Super Wars or whatever, the Marvel figures and stuff, and they had all the proper ones, and I'd play with them and I'd be like, man, this is really cool. It's like an actual Silver Surfer figure, or it's an actual Spider-Man figure and stuff. And like the toys like that Ryan was sending us pictures of, like that was my childhood. For a lot of time I did have like the team of super power ninja friends. It was like...
So this week, have you been following any of the YouTube drama? I say that as I pick up my cup of tea.
Possibly.
So a guy put out, So a guy put out a video this week where he basically decided to. He's clearly he was trying to boost his channel. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And he basically tagged all the creators in it that he could think of, and basically did like a tiered system where he thought everybody belonged on it. But he put his emotion behind it a bit too much for some people. So like,
Wow.
it's all right being critical of a channel. That's feedback. That's fine. But when you start adding your own emotion to it, it starts to become a bit bullying and a little bit clicky. And he was a savage to certain people in the community. One of which was, she's quite up with Hasbro. I mean, Hasbro have given a release and stuff. There's a girl called Friends with Kindness or something, Killing Them with Kindness. She had like a YouTube channel. Yeah, she's now quit. She's now left YouTube altogether. She like closed her account down and everything. She's gone.
What?
She just said if people are going to speak this way about her channel and treat her like this, then why should she be in the community? So she's now gone because of this. Like,
what said?
Well, he basically said he come up and he put a picture on. He went, I said the channel name. I think it's Killing Them with Kindness. He says, and then you killed my eardrums with your kindness or something. And he's like, he just sort of like made this horrible like little comment and then like didn't talk about her ever again and just shoved her in like the bottom tier. He called it the F tier, and he just shoved her in that. And then he put like Rocco the Great. He's a guy, but he played up to it and he handled it brilliantly. Did Rocco? So they shoved Rocco in F tier, and he did a live stream straight after the video went live, going, "Yes, boys and girls, I am the F tier." And the guy on the video called him Rocco the Garbage instead of Rocco the Great. So he made a T-shirt that says, "I am now Rocco the Garbage," and he sold. All his fans have bought a T-shirt that says Rocco the Garbage on it now.
Wow.
So he's played up to it, and he said it's like WWE. He said it's like a WWE storyline.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Shartmas Prime's put a video out about it. Foosh has made some Twitter comments about it. Everyone in the community has had a little stick about it. It's been so fun. I got put in the D tier. I'm rubbish apparently. So
What did he say about you? So
that we watched my channel. He watched 5 of my videos, and I'm boring, and he didn't see anything to bother watching again. It's like, thanks, man. Appreciate the work.
Wow.
You should have just messaged him back saying, "Look what I got."
I was thinking that's the kindest comment I've had all week.
But you can't put a video together about people in the community, or at least people on YouTube, that you're not linked with, that you're not like you can't do that. Like I wouldn't even put a video out talking about you two. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's still a bit of shit, let's be honest, like to kind of talk about somebody that's not in the presence of that. It'd be different if it was like a live stream that you guys were all in or something like.
Shartmas put it the best. He actually made a thing that said, why we had this in a few years back where all the creators kind of like didn't like one another. It's taken some time for most of us to start speaking. It's taken a long time for the community to kind of like open arms to one another. So like I know like the bigger guys, like you've got your Fwoosh and your Shartmas, they all kind of are like friends. And then like on like our level, there's like me, you, we speak to Dan, who we speak to, Dave. We all kind of speak, whereas you wouldn't have done a while back. It wouldn't have happened.
No, I think that's also a bit different with like the UK as well, is that because there wasn't a huge kind of presence online. A lot of us all kind of did speak anyway, and I remember seeing people on the up and up and like starting off, and and it was all I'd never really seen any drama this side of the pond. Like,
not this side of the pond. No, we don't bother.
But I don't really. The thing is, the internet it's not real estate. There isn't. You could have somebody that has 10 million followers, and there's still room for somebody else to have 10 million followers. Like,
everyone.
It's worth. Yeah, it's really bad in the Star Wars thing as well. It's like, because you get like retro blasting or analog stuff, but then you get like some people like there's a channel called That Junk Man, and this guy is an absolute helmet. Like, he is the biggest villain. And I'll say that on a recorded thing. He's a really unpleasant person. He deliberately does something and then tries to make something big out of it. Then he really over dramatizes it. He's just one of those people. We just go, you don't even believe what you're saying. You're just saying things to get people to watch stuff, and it's unpleasant and it's nasty, and it's like, why do you need to be like that? There's no need. This is like quite a good community and stuff, and then stuff like that just makes it worse. It's kind of like just trying to shit stir and just make it worse for everyone. It's like we should all be helping each other. Like we're all at the same goals. We're all on here because we're talking about things because we love what we're talking about. That's what it should be, and it's not like trying to get one up on the other one. Like I'm not gonna like Jake's video about the the announcement. I'm not gonna, if I did a video on it, I wouldn't be like, hey guys, don't watch Jake's crab video, watch mine or something like that. You know what I mean? Like we both have our own videos or whatever on it, and that's fine. We don't have different opinions, and we talk on here, and we have our geek weeks, and we don't. I like the fact that we all have very different opinions on a lot of stuff, but we talk about it properly. We have a laugh about it, and you say like people like that junk man just do that thing where they just become unpleasant for no reason. And it's like, why don't you just talk and be civil and just enjoy the fact we all like the same thing?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like when you look like, I always find that it's different folks with different strokes in it. Do you want to call it that? It's like there's always someone that's gonna like somebody else because of a different thing that they do in the video. So like some people might find me ridiculously irritating for doing the whole look what I've got and the high pitched voices and the stupid noises, and people might find me ridiculously irritating, but might like Jacob's content because he's maybe a little bit more straight laced with the voice and stuff and doesn't really do the things that I do. Then you've got the likes of Dave who like is completely off the rails. He's worse than me. So like everyone's got a different way of delivering it, and there's always someone that would like that form of delivery.
Oh yeah,
so there's enough room for everyone.
My favourite message I got, because when it comes to reviewing figures, I do it in like a 5-minute figure review format because I don't want to tread on other people's toes. I don't want to kind of go over a lot of the same ground that other people have done. So it's kind of like, you know what, the gimmick is 5 minutes or thereabout, and I'll try to talk as much as I can about the figure or the character. And someone messaged me and they were like, I really, really love your videos. And I was like, okay, thanks so much. They were like, yeah, it'd be better if they were a little bit longer and like covered a bit more. And I was like, mate, check out these channels because we're all looking at the same stuff. Like mine's just 5 minutes like that. I'm not gonna, if I changed it to the 15-minute review, then it's no different than some of the other reviews that are out there. Like it's, I'm giving you an option to see a quick short form version of that review. I'm not going to cover everything. I'm not going to show you it against all the other figures or head swap out everything I can. I'm going to do as much as I can in that time. Like, but there are these other channels out there that I know have looked at the figure in more detail, and if that's what you want, that's cool. But it just really made me laugh. I was like, don't like, hey, I really like color blue, but have you tried it red? It's like, no, my thing is blue. Like, that's how it is. Like, but somebody does red here. Like, that's cool. Like, it's but it's a weird one, isn't it? I think with content creation as well. Like, for me, I do it for myself. That sounds really silly, but I don't like if I don't enjoy doing it, I'm not going to do it. So the figure reviews for me is very much a case of I'm getting these figures, so I'm going to cover them. That's what it is. But the other stuff that I do, like on TikTok or on Instagram, it's because I enjoy doing it. Like, is my photograph going to be the best photograph out there on the internet of this particular figure? No way. No, not even close. But do I enjoy putting it together? I like, yeah, of course I do. Like, and that's
one other thing that Sharpness on his said as well, which I do completely agree with. It's going to be interesting to see over the next year who out of the channels end up sticking it out, because a lot of people came up during lockdown.
Yeah.
There are a lot of what you can refer to as COVID channels. All these people that started a side hobby or a side hustle when they were out of work, which is fair enough. That's great. Everyone picked up a new hobby. So like you've got a load of channels that came up really quick and are now starting to stagnate a little bit because bills are going up. They're having to pay out again. So people now start going to work again. Like lockdowns are over. So it's going to be interesting to see who sticks around in the next 6 to 7 months.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not really much of a YouTuber anymore. Ryan Speaks Geeks more just my name on this show more than anything. I do intend to do more. I do intend to do more, but for me, it's just been time and stuff like that. And the thing is, I still don't even know what to do. I only ever do it because I want to do it for what I want to do. If I ever got to the point where I had a video where I could make some money of it, fantastic. That'd be a great side. That'd be a bonus rather than the goal. The goal is just to do something, talk about stuff I want to talk about. Problem is, because I just randomly flip between them in my mind, I'm a bit sort of, I'm not very good with focus at all. So when I start doing one thing, I'll get really obsessed with something. I'll be really obsessed with Alien for like 2 weeks, and then I'll move back to Star Wars again fully, and then I'll be talking about Transformers, and it's like, but this, I kind of like there was a Fast Show sketch, Jesse's Diet. So I'm just going to coming out with Shady. This week, I'll mostly be talking about, but not enough to make it themed videos. But I just don't even know what I want to do most of the time. And then the other thing is like it's the time as well, because if you want to get it out there, there's lots of like little tricks you have to do to make sure that people even see it on algorithms and stuff like that. And yeah, my heart hasn't been in that part of it for a while. So at some point I'll do it. But like I know what you mean. Mine wasn't even a lockdown channel, because ironically during lockdown I worked twice as much. And so I sort of did it sort of at the end of lockdown, where I was like, yeah, I actually want to do some stuff, because me and Jake like used to do something called All Things Geek, ATG, back in many years ago, and we always wanted to do more, and then sort of when it all broke apart, because it was just timings and stuff like that, and then Jake started doing his again, like, and I was like always talking about Jake stuff, and I said to Jake several times, I was like, oh, it'd be really good, you know, Hasbro will get in touch with you at some point, and he was like, nah, I'm just doing it for fun. I was like, nah, they will. And they did.
Hello, don't be silly. What kind of whimsical dream are you talking of? It's just
exactly
crazy. You speak of things. But I don't know, like, shall I tell you what? I saw a TikTok video that really, really annoyed me, like really frustrated me. And it was one of these kind of like 5 ways to get extra income. Now, you know, them ones that pop up on your...
Yeah.
And this was like, here is an easy way that's like a passive income. Do unboxing videos. It's so much, and I was just kind of like, no, like, do you realize how much work it takes to do all this stuff? And there's no financial like repercussion. Like, but even with YouTube, like, there's all the criteria before you even enter the kind of the element of being paid by YouTube or paid by TikTok, and even then, it's pennies until you're like hitting really big numbers. Like the idea of kind of making a living off of doing content creation, it's possible, and don't get me wrong, there's stupid amounts of money that's available for people, but not everyone can just pick it up and do it. And that's why I kind of agree with what you're saying there about sharpness, is that I know I'll carry on doing my stuff because I was doing it way before lockdown. I do it differently now, and I do a lot more kind of video stuff than I do photographs, but I have like a balance of the two. But yeah, it's, you know, there are people that have popped up in that time, which is great, and I do hope that a lot of them stay around because it's cool. We got 50 people talking about a figure. That's awesome. Like, I always watch half a dozen different reviews after I've put my review out. I always wait till I've put my review out, but then I watch half a different.
You watch everyone else's. I do
to see what I've missed, or to see what I didn't pick up on or stuff. And there's, you know, 9 out of 10 times there's always something that I overlooked, and I was kind of like, oh man, that's really cool. Like, you know, like it's kind of,
when people sort of always say to me like, yeah, but you get paid to do what you do. It's like, yeah, but that is minimal money that comes in from payment from YouTube. And do you know how much I could work out, just as a rough estimate? I've made 2,000 videos, right? More or less reviewing in every single video, because I do mainly all toy reviews. It's very, very limited I do anything else. If you say that each of those toys cost about 20 quid on average, some are higher, some are lower, you're talking 40 grand to get to the point that I'm at now.
Yeah.
That means I've spent around 40 to 50,000 pounds just on that collection.
Yeah.
Over the years. And people think that it's an easy thing to just come along, make a channel and start unboxing stuff. Like, it costs a lot of money to start doing this. You've got to be a proper collector. What I'm saying is, you've got to be a proper collector. You can't just be someone that comes along and goes, I'm going to review things for passive income. It doesn't work that way.
It does not work that way at all. You have to, you have to be a collector in that respect. But I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. I love the community, and I hope it continues to grow, and I hope it continues to kind of be what it is, because people are, you know, being able to have conversations with people on the other side of the world about an action figure of a superhero that I grew up reading the comic books of is amazing. Because when I was 13, 14, I didn't have those people around me. So now it's kind of like, oh yeah, have you read this? Have you done this? Like, oh yeah, put him in this pose. Rah! Like, it's kind of, it's amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, I don't know.
You want a complete segue for like something on a positive note?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, as we're filming, so Monday, I'm going to the cinema to see the 40th anniversary of Tron.
Oh,
40th.
Wow.
It's 40 years old. Tron's 40.
we're
When
old.
did that happen? Why does it make me so sad? And two, I can't wait to see the computers that are bigger than what the projector is that runs the film now. Because, like, the original Tron is a fantastic film. Like, it really is. I'm one of the few fans who's actually a huge fan of Tron Legacy. I absolutely adore that film. I think it's one of the most beautiful films and has one of the best soundtracks. But the original Tron is obviously, it's Tron, man.
Can I make a confession?
You've not
Don't
seen
say
it.
you've never seen it.
I've never seen it all the way through.
Mate, it's Tron.
I genuinely don't know how it ends.
And just like that, you burn.
No, it's one of them films that I did. I watched when I was younger, and
Yeah, we have
I loved
pyrotechnics
it.
now.
Yeah, but but it was one of them things that I think it was because of videos, or like video stores, and I couldn't rent it back the next time. I fell asleep watching it or something, and I had to take it back the next day, and then I couldn't get it again, and then I kind of something else came out, and yeah, and I suppose now in the age of streaming and stuff, I should have really watched that, but yeah, I've never seen it to the end. Seen Tron Legacy, but it's only you talking about it now. I'm like, I actually don't know how that ends. But speaking
Well,
of,
if you want to head to your local theatre and see it, then please do on Monday for the 40th anniversary showing of Tron. But anniversary showings is what I was sort of going on, because like I'm seeing the 40th anniversary of Tron on Monday. I'm seeing Tomorrow Never Dies on Tuesday. Then I've got there's the new director's cut of the original Star Trek motion picture. So they've re-edited it, and it's the new director's cut of it. It's coming out, and there's also the director's cut of Wrath of Khan as well. So I'm seeing that like in the next sort of few weeks. I'm seeing a lot of sort of old school movies on the big screen, and that's what I was saying about like the other day we talking about cinema. Is I actually think I go to the cinema now more for retro showings of things than I do for new films, which I am really happy about. And the other thing is, it's only £6 a ticket when it's a retro showing. Like I've got Limitless, so it doesn't cost me anything. But when it's only £6 a ticket, you go like, no brainer. Like it's awesome to see it on the big screen. It's amazing what a difference it is, and the things you notice on, and like by having like this big surround and stuff. So I'm really excited to see Tron like in all its huge big screen glory.
Speaking of endings, I did see the end of Camp Cretaceous.
Yes, finally. What do you think?
Have you seen the ending, Sorrell?
No, I've not seen about the last 2 seasons, mate.
Do you wanna spoil?
Yeah, it's fine. You go for it. I'll probably never watch it again.
I was really pleased with it. I was genuinely the payoff was very cool. I'm not sure about the relationships that came out of it. I was like, that kind of felt a bit shoehorned in right at the end. It was like, why are you coupling them up? And why are you coupling them up? Like, you didn't need to do that to move the story forward for me, like in my opinion.
Oh, what, Sam and Yaz?
Yeah. I was just kind of like,
you say that. I actually always thought that might have been the thing from like season 1.
yeah, but it was one of them things where it was kind of always in the background but never really mentioned, and then it just felt like in the last couple of episodes they made a really big deal out of it, and I was kind of like, I'm pleased they did, but you didn't have to, and it didn't move the story along. It was just kind of a payoff, wasn't it? As in, oh, you thought these guys were going to get together, and they do. But
yeah, I suppose you got to have those bits, haven't you?
I loved the time jump at the end. Like, I loved the fact that it jumped ahead.
Yes.
And they were all older. And correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially it ends where Jurassic World 2 is taking place, didn't it?
Jurassic World 3.
Is it Jurassic World 3? Yeah, but they talk about the Lockwood estate.
Oh, maybe. Well, that's maybe it is. I don't know. I get confused.
That's the house where the big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe it is when it is 2 then. I still think there's room for it more with them as adults. I think there could be, but it would be cool something like Cretaceous World or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Camp Cretaceous, the grown-up years. But yeah, it was. I liked it. I really liked it. It was a good, wholesome TV show. It was cool to have like a Jurassic Park kind of universe taking place in a television show. But there is rumors that there's going to be a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World TV show done anyway, isn't there? Have you read that? That supposedly that's in production. in talks that they're going to make a Jurassic World TV show.
Well, they did say that even though this is like the Jurassic World Dominion was like the end of that sort of story.
Yeah,
It's not Jurassic Park's not done now. It's just too big a franchise. And other things, dinosaurs are just always cool, regardless of what everyone says. And like every film is not like well received and everything, but it's dinosaurs, and dinosaurs are cool. And sometimes I just want to see a mother flipping T-Rex eat something on a big screen.
Yeah.
I don't care if there's someone shouting Eric for like too long in the third one and all that kind of stuff. I just like seeing dinosaurs on big screen.
Well, speaking of new things, this week we are going to see the debut of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it as it comes out because I haven't finished Miss Marvel yet, and it's just time. And the problem is, I feel like sometimes with Marvel, I'm just like, can you just back off for a little bit?
Yeah, but it feels like we haven't had anything for ages because Miss Marvel finished and we had like Obi-Wan still going on at that point. Like we've had kind of a bit of a dry couple of weeks, but I don't know. For She-Hulk, I think it's going to be one that's worth catching up with, only because they've already said it's like a law show. It's like a lawyer show, a legal show. It's like Law and Order. It's like Ally McBeal. Like that, they're going down that route of it being a legal show that's got superheroes in it as well. There's going to be so many cameos or nods and stuff like that to different characters in the universe and bits and bobs. And the thing to remember as well is that She-Hulk in the comic books breaks the fourth wall. And we've already kind of seen that in the trailer in a couple of different trailers. So I think it's going to be more, I don't want to say Deadpool-esque, but Deadpool obviously is another character that breaks the fourth wall. And I think people are going to either love it or hate it for that. But I think it's going to be a really fun series to watch. I really do. And I'm really excited for it. Not going to lie.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Daredevil's in it.
And Daredevil's in it. So I hope he's in it for a decent amount of time and not just what we've seen in the trailer.
Well, we've already, like, in the, what do you call it, Hawkeye, in the Hawkeye series, we kind of got that, we kind of saw Kingpin, we kind of saw, what's she called, Echo, and those characters. So you've kind of caught up where they are at. So I think this is going to show Matt Murdock and like maybe some other characters from the Daredevil sort of universe and show you what they're doing. So that when they make Echo or whatever it is they do next, you know where the characters are ready to set off. You don't need to do that whole where have they been kind of thing.
No. Yeah, I think the same. I think that's kind of what it's going to do. It's almost like, Spider-Man coming into Civil War. It was just kind of, here he is, this is him. And I think they're going to do that for these characters. It's just they're going to introduce them in the way that they introduce them, and then you just carry on and the story carries on.
I want to see Foggy. I want to see my Foggy.
Foggy needs to be in Born Again at least. What is really interesting about Born Again as well, I don't know if we mentioned this, but Born Again is it's an actual comic book run called Daredevil Born Again, but the storyline is very similar to Daredevil season 3. So people said that Daredevil season 3 was based on the Born Again comic book. So taking the title of a comic book that's already kind of been adapted into a TV show and giving the title to a new TV show, I'm really curious as to what they're going to do with it. Did you watch I Am Groot? While we talk about MCU stuff and TV,
I still need to watch it. I've seen some of the like clipped online, but I've not watched it.
They're literally 3 minutes. I've watched them with my boys. I've watched them I've probably spent an hour watching them in total. Like they're really, really quick. There's 5 episodes. They're all kind of listed at 5 or 6 minutes, but you've got as much show as you have credits anyway. But they're good. They don't move any story along. It doesn't fit in anywhere with any of the stuff that we've seen, but they are funny. They are kind of good. The only thing I could kind of describe them to is, how in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, that little baby Groot at the beginning where he's dancing and stuff like that, that became so iconic, that kind of 2 or 3 minutes. It's essentially that in different scenarios. It's really cool. My particular favorite ones out of the 5 is the one with the mini civilization. I think it's called the big guy or the tall guy or something like that. the one where he's at the spa. You've seen the things with leaves on his head and the cucumbers. That's a good one. And the one where he builds like a bomb. And them three are my favourites. They're good ones. Actually, in the dance off one. And the one with the
So
pot. They're all
four out
good.
of five.
All five
Yeah.
of them are my favourites. I like all five of them. No, they are funny though. They are funny, and they're voiced by Vin Diesel as well, which is crazy. It's, so he's actually gone into the studio and recorded for them. But yeah, I think that my opinion with them is that because Baby Groot is gone now, isn't he? We're into the teenage Groot, and in the next things he's going to be moved on. But Baby Groot kind of was so iconic. It's kind of a way of milking that a little bit more and giving the kids and the fans that little bit more Baby Groot time. But they really are like minimal, like absolutely minimal. We watched them all this morning again.
Did you guys see the news that I'm gonna butcher his name here? Giancarlo Esposito. Is that how you call it? Is that how you pronounce it?
From what?
From Breaking Bad. Gus.
Oh right, yes, yeah. The from the Mandalorian as well.
Giancarlo Esposito, I think it's called. He's met with Marvel Studios this week. Have you heard the news?
Yes.
Oh, about potentially playing Xavier.
Oh,
yeah, supposedly.
Xavier, Doom, or Magneto. They're the three names that are being thrown around.
I could see him as a Magneto. No, sorry, as a Professor X, sorry.
Shall I tell you what, right? My personal opinion, and the internet might come at me or agree with me on this, but the only one out of those three that he could play would be Professor X, because the other two, their heritage and their ethnicity and stuff is integral to the character. Whereas Professor X, you could have him as essentially anyone from any background, any race, religion, or anything to kind of fit in, and it wouldn't affect the character.
He's got the voice and the calm for Professor X.
But Professor X is not as good as everyone makes out. He's a bit of a twisted leader, isn't he? And I think that with that voice and that what we've seen of him in Breaking Bad and in The Mandalorian, I think he could play that almost darker version of Professor X to a T. I'm all for it, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Like, another thing is, like, the funny, if he does get cast as Xavier, everyone will be like, "Oh, we need to now have a film where we see James McAvoy, Patrick Stewart, and him in the X-Men in the Multiverse of Madness." Oh wait, we did that. Damn it. Think of another one. The Multiverse of Mayhem. That'll do.
Did you see as well? I posted some leaked set photos from Ironheart on my Instagram.
I did not see.
People again kicking off. Oh, this isn't good. This isn't going to be great. And I'm just kind of like, mate, there was a time when we didn't have any of this. Like, there was a time when a spin-off TV show of an Iron Man film, like, was unthought of. Like, so just be here for it. Be enjoyable to the fact that we're getting this stuff. Don't like it, don't watch it. Like, I never thought we'd get a She-Hulk TV show, but hey, here we are, and I'm really excited.
I thought the animated series was as far as we were going to get, which, let's be honest, that was an awesome animated series. But I thought that was as far as we were ever going to get with She-Hulk.
Yeah, I am, or a Fortnite character. She's one of my favorites in Fortnite. I'm not going to lie.
Still not played it. Still not going to play
it. They've got a new game coming out, though, haven't they? Like a dance battle.
Oh, I thought it was going to be called Monthly.
No, two weekly. There was my boy showed me a trailer of it, and I was like, oh, is this a rip-off of Fortnite? It's like, no, it's by the same people. And I was like, oh, right, okay, cool. The thing I don't understand with Fortnite, though, the Fortnite skins, is like, my son would come to me and he'd be like, oh, I've got this skin. And I'm like, but what? Like, I won't use the skin of a character that doesn't use a gun, if that makes sense. I'm like, so why have you got Spider-Man? Spider-Man does not run around with a missile launcher, like, or a pistol. Like,
and in a child's imagination, you can do.
No,
I think that's the thing. I don't like.
Okay,
Fortnite,
okay. Explain to me then. What about people that have got Batman skins? Batman does not use guns.
Yeah, but you can do in your imagination. Effectively, Fortnite, from what I can gather, the concept behind it is basically like when you're a kid. Like,
It's
Batman
like
never fought the biker
Sam.
mice from Mars, but he bloody well did in my world.
Yeah,
And actually, also, Batman had lightsabers.
Yeah.
In my
It
one.
is. It's sandbox. It's kind of like, what can you think of? Let's put it together. Like, yeah, it very much is sandbox. I'm just having a look to see what this thing's called.
But Fortnite, the story of Fortnite has always been that it draws from the world, and they're basically all variants. That's why there's so many people running around in different skins and different versions of that skin. Everyone
Yeah.
is technically a variant.
There's an actual story behind it. I just thought it would go nuts.
There's been like a mildly backstory running slowly. They've done a few comic books and things now as well, like crossovers with Marvel and DC. But yeah, there is like a little bit of a backstory. Like Jonesy is the main sort of character that you seem to follow.
I'm still not gonna buy it.
It's called
I'm out.
it's called Rumbleverse. You seen that? So, and it says if you haven't had a chance to play this yet, this new Brawler Royale is a free to play and available on Xbox One and Xbox Series. Give it a download, check it out. Rumbleverse is set in Grappital City, a place that was built by champions as a monument of the glorious traditions of melee combat. Melee combat. No, what's it called?
Jake was so excited by the announcement, he sent up his footage. There it is.
Melee. What's it?
Melee.
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 Why am I reading melee?
Melee
combat. No, melee combat. So
Me and my friend Melee.
It sounds like Fortnite without guns, basically.
I kind of like this. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I mean,
download that bad boy.
It looks quite cool, and it's very similar, like the kind of look of it. Have you seen it? Have you found it?
Yeah. I'm now turning my Xbox on to download it.
Yeah, it just looks very. It is very Fortnite-esque.
It looks ridiculous. I love it. There we go.
That does not make me want to download it.
It's essentially Fortnite without the guns, which is cool.
I want to be a
I'm
chicken
already
with a steel
sort
chair.
of doing Fortnite without the guns. I'm doing Fortnite without any of it.
Mate, you're the kind of person you would get on it and you would be like hooked.
No, it's just, you know, I real confession time. I don't like playing with people online. I've always hated playing with people online on any game. Real-time strategies, first-person shooters, all of them. The most I sort of enjoy being around when we used to do like Halo nights with round people, and people used to take 2 Xboxes and connect them on 2 different TVs. That was about as much as I could get into multiplayer. I'm not a multiplayer person. I hate multiplayer and I hate online playing. When it's like Call of Duty, I only ever played the campaigns. I never played it online.
Stop describing how we used to connect Xboxes together. It makes us sound very old.
Yes,
Flash. We are old. We've been talking about Sega Mega Drive on this channel. People don't know what that is. People think that's like a charity for long distance driving. No one knows that's what it was, a games console.
The way you described it,
Sonic's 2D. They think that's a drawing. We played that.
The way you described it, I could just imagine like a youngster looking at us like, you did what? You connected 2 Xboxes together to... Did I just play online? Like, online didn't exist?
Yeah. It still makes me laugh when people don't remember the days of modem, like before the Wi-Fi. Like, what, there was time before Wi-Fi? Yeah. The internet was like a wire at one point, let's be honest. Like, plugging in was not an option. It wasn't an optional, like, extra. Would you like to go wireless or plug in? Like, no, you had to plug in.
You'll never know the joy of you've got mail.
Because we are running out of time, but let's talk DC very quickly before we do finish, because there's a bit of DC news, isn't there?
Yeah, so DC Multiverse have released a couple of, well, it's a new wave basically that they're doing, which I am now scrambling off Marvel and going to DC to find. Basically, there's a new Penguin. It's an Arkham Asylum City kind of wave. Yep. So it's from that universe. And it's the Penguin Builder wave. So Penguin is going to be the click and collect bath, whatever you want to call it these days. And so far, they've announced the Penguin of the bath. Catwoman has been announced for the line, and a new Batman from Arkham. So those are the 3 figures that have been announced so far. We're waiting for the rest to be announced.
That's cool.
But the Penguin looks awesome.
Did you see on the film side of DC that Ben Affleck's back shooting scenes for not just Aquaman 2, but also now The Flash, which why
Yeah.
The Flash hasn't been pulled, I don't understand. Why we don't get Batgirl, but we're still getting Flash with Ezra P. Miller still in like starring. Like,
I don't understand what's going on with DC because I know Wonder Woman's been kind of mediocrely successful. Aquaman's kind of been successful, but you'd have thought with everything that happened with Amanda Heard and everything, you'd think they'd have just pulled everything at this point and gone, right, fresh start, let's go again. Because
I
at
do
the
worry
moment
because I'm worried
just
about like,
silly.
it is, but like the Batman, the Matt Reeves one, like that was really, really good. Like that's awesome, but it's because it was just on its own. The Joker was phenomenal because it was on its own. This is the whole thing. Like I said, this has always been my big complaint sometimes with Marvel is when they over try and connect things. And I do think that DC is like, stop trying to be Marvel. You're not Marvel. You're DC. Be DC.
But the thing you got to remember though is that for Marvel, that's kind of the foot they stepped out on when Marvel.
That's what I mean. It works for Marvel, but what I mean is like it's now to the point where it's almost hard for them. The minute they try and do something that's not connected to the films or to the TVs, like something separate from that, live action, they just can't do that because then everyone moans that it's either not connected enough or they spend too long trying to find ways for it to be connected that you kind of like not making a good product.
It's hard to because like everybody wants a Justice League movie, but it's hard to do the Justice League movie without making a universe for them to be in.
Yeah. The problem is
That's
as well,
the
is
thing.
you've got to remember that these are based off of comic books, and the big selling point of comic books was that they were interconnected. That you would be reading a Ghost Rider comic book, and then at some point in some issue, Captain America popped in, or you're reading Captain America, and then it crossed over, and he was fighting alongside Wolverine or something like that, and it was these kind of crossovers and this big
Oh, I get that.
No, but
That
then
was cool, but that's not what you read the books for. You read it for Spider-Man.
yeah, no, completely. But what I'm saying is that for the Marvel Studios, they essentially went, these things were all intertwined. Let's build this universe from the get-go to all be intertwined. And it works, and things can be connected. Like Moon Knight, for example, isn't connected. The TV show Moon Knight isn't connected into anything else. There's no links to the other stuff. There wasn't like a cameo. There wasn't a kind of a callback or anything like that. It was a very standalone thing, but you know that it's linked into the wider universe, but they didn't acknowledge that. But yet there was no kind of complaints that it wasn't, or well, there was complaints, but not not hundreds. But so it is doable, but I quite like it. I like the way that things link in, and I don't think it has to be a massive crossover just to kind of this person's going to pop up somewhere else at some point.
That's what I would prefer, though. Like, it's the I do agree. I don't. It's not I hate crossovers at all. I love crossovers, and I love big universes. But what I mean is, I think like what I said. The bit that gets me is like DC trying to copy Marvel doesn't work.
No,
because
but I don't think they're trying to copy. I think they've also got an integrated universe of storybooks, but because
they have, but it's so much darker, and the film ways they've done it all in the wrong order. There was no build-up, so they almost tried to basically do 10 years of Marvel in 4 films.
But that's it, and that's where I think their mistake lies. And they tried to make it darker, and they tried to make it very rushed, and because of that, it didn't work. Like I don't remember reading the DC comics as a kid and thinking, "Oh, this is dark and gritty." I remember it being just as colourful and just as enjoyable. And I think that if they had approached it with the same kind of, I think that's one of the reasons why Aquaman was one of the most popular films, is because it was more lighthearted and it was more, enjoyable as opposed to dark and gritty. And I just think that
I need some dark and gritty movies like from DC because they have got much better licenses for that. Like, problem is Marvel aren't going to do dark and gritty. Morbius. But the Batman, like I said, was actually is now one of my favorite comic book films of all time, as is Watchmen. Like Watchmen is one of my favorites. I like the Nolan trilogy as well. I don't quite think they're on the quite pedestal that people put them on, but like I really enjoyed those. you know, and I like I said, I do get like a lot of early DC stuff, a lot of campy fun and sort of stuff like that. But I'm quite happy for DC to do dark because when DC do dark well, they do it brilliantly.
Yeah.
What I like and what I mean by it is like what I like is you like when Suicide Squad came out, the first one, and like you had Ben Affleck cameo in it.
Yeah.
Because you knew him as Batman at that point. And that's what I like. I like when they choose one actor to run with a character. No matter what film he's going to be in, it's going to be that actor playing that character. So I like that. It's like, it was really cool to see Ben Affleck show up for all of 10 seconds. But it was Ben Affleck behind the mask. And that's what I liked about it. And even though he wasn't the main star of the film, he still took the time to come down and film those scenes. And like when they showed the Snyder cut of the Justice League and they brought back Joker from Suicide Squad, I like things like that when they get one person to run with a character and let them develop that character over a bunch of films.
You know, well, that's the one thing I liked about that Birds of Prey film. I did watch and I thought it was took, but the one thing I did like about it is it felt connected to the other things. Like I felt like I was a continuation of that character's story, and even the bits with like Joker and stuff, like it felt like you didn't see him and it wasn't, you know, and I was massively surprised to see Ewan McGregor in it. I did not realize he was playing Black Mask, but I was kind of like, this feels like a continuation of that universe, and that's really cool. I don't understand why it's not kind of taken off, like, but
choosing the wrong characters. I think
no idea what's going to happen with it because, like I said, I don't get how the Flash is still continuing with all the bad press and everything that's going on. It's kind of like, just what? And like, even I don't even understand what the plan is. They keep saying I've got we've got a 10-year plan. They've had 10-year plans, like they've had like 6 10-year plans in the last 5 years. Like, I don't understand what is going on. I don't know. And now I'm not looking forward to anything because I'm not going to get my hopes up that anything that I want to come out is going to come out in the way that's going to come out, or I'm just going to wait till things just start appearing on screens.
I was really excited for Batgirl, but
I was really excited.
Genuinely gutted that we don't get to see that. Genuinely annoyed. I'm actually annoyed. It makes me genuinely angry about not being out there because the whole tax cut reason is just stupid. And it's not everyone's. The problem is everyone's focusing on like bad test screenings. That really isn't the reason. They've been very open about it. It's the tax cuts. That's why it can't ever be released. Anything because the tax cut is if they write that off and Scoob, the animated film, which was also about 40 million. If they write both those off as part of the buyout, that counts as a tax deductible. It's written off. It's done. So it means no loss for the company. But if they release it in any way, shape, or form, then that breaches that agreement. That's why they're not being shown. But it's stupid. It's like all that work and everything, and like, is the tax cut worth it? Probably not.
Yeah.
But like the thing is with the DC movies, now we're in this weird position where what is now technically canon and what isn't. You know, you look it up and you kind of look at their timeline and go, what is connected, what isn't, and what the hell is canon now?
Yeah.
They need somebody like Marvel.
Meant to be what mixed up, wasn't it? That was the whole point of this Flashpoint movie, was that it was going to
resort it out.
But obviously they couldn't have picked a more problematical person to be the person to reset it.
I wonder if that's why they're pushing with it. I wonder if that's why they're going with it, because there's so much built into it that's kind of resetting everything, that if they don't release it, then they're kind of in the same position they've always
at the end of the movie. They'll now put in a different Ezra Miller turns into just a different actor and just goes, "Oh, thank God for Flashpoint."
You've got to raise this as a point now, because yes, this wasn't an issue like when they first started filming, but it is now. All of the actors are too old now.
Yeah.
The guy playing Aquaman is Jason Momoa is a great guy, but he's not a spring chicken by any means.
No.
Margot Robbie's knocking on. She's not as young as she was when she first started. It's been like 10 years or so. It's been a long time.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, a lot of the cast are now aging, and it's like, how long can Gal Gadot keep portraying Wonder Woman? She's gonna, she's not a spring chicken.
That woman is immortal, and she will always be beautiful.
Oh, she's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, and so is Margot Robbie.
Keep my wife's name out of your mouth.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, how long can they keep going with a franchise? The idea was when Marvel started, they chose actors that were young enough to run for 10 years with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, completely. Well, Scarlett Johansson was like 20 26, 27 when she started off as Black Widow, and then obviously retired the character in like her mid-30s. Like it was, you know.
Or you could just be Paul Rudd and just never ever age ever.
Do you know he was in Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah, he was Paris.
I did not know that until I watched
Yeah,
that.
there's also his deleted scene with him, with his dual bit, but they deleted it from the film, which is actually was in the book.
Hey,
itself.
literally looks the same age.
He doesn't age.
He looks the same age in like Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. He looks the same in that. He looks the same in 10 Things Out. Clueless, sorry, not 10 Things Out. Clueless. He looks the same. When you bump into him tomorrow, he'll look the same. In 40 years' time, he'll look the same. In 1,000 years' time, he'll look the same. He's a demon.
Yeah.
Bloody good.
On that amazing Paul Rudd note, I think we need to round it up because otherwise we're going to go into the early hours. But yeah, a lot's happened. So what we got? We got She-Hulk happening next week. We got a few other reveals, no doubt. So we'll come back next week for week 62 and digest all of that. Obviously, check out the website, geekweekreview.co.uk. Give us a follow on all the socials if you don't already do so. Yeah, any final thoughts, gents? Anything else you want to throw out there?
Still really hot.
Oh, sorrow.
Wasn't me this time, though.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. All I'm going to say, just really, really quickly, Superpower retro figures.
Yeah, I have seen them. They're not much scale, though.
Are they not? Are they not?
They're not 3.75.
The 2.5 or something. They're a bit small, aren't they?
No, bigger. I think they're like 4. They're like 4 inches or something like that. I
Right,
can't remember. Even at the line back in the day was always a bit odd.
What is a quarter of an inch when it's an action figure? Come on. Oh dear, look, my thing.
I'm lost, Jacob.
In and out. No, I'm here. Right, let's go because I'm gonna lose out otherwise. Thank you very much for watching. We will catch you next week. Check out website geekweekreview.co.uk. Till next week, keep it geek.
The Geek Week in Review.